This is the third and sadly final series of Mackenzie Crook's BBC Four sitcom about metal detectorists, starring himself and Toby Jones. The last outing of this was, as we were talking about last Tango in Halifax, a disappointing Christmas special, really.
It was strange, wasn't it? It didn't
'Cause,
really. Again, it didn't gel. That was the
the
thing.
end of the second series saw Lance, which is Toby Jones's character, discover like this hoard of was it Saxon
Yes, Saxton.
Saxon gold, which then went to the National Museum. Andy, the Mackenzie Crook character, and his other half, Becky, went off to Botswana. Is that right?
Yes.
The Christmas special was sort of clunky because there had to be a reason for him to come back. But this one, thankfully, they've got them back together. We don't know we don't sort of know. We're guessing sort of like their time in Botswana has ended.
Yeah, because they're living with Diana Rigg.
Yes, not Diana Rigg. The character Diana Rigg plays, not just Diana Rigg.
No, but I don't want to spoil it for you. It is actually Diana Rigg.
Who is Rachel Sterling, who plays Becky's mum in real life and plays her mum in this as well.
I imagine they've not been back too long because they've got all their worldly possessions in her garage, and Mackenzie Crook is missing having a shed and having a place of their own, you know, where he's not under
Waiting to
feet.
put a deposit together, aren't they? He's
Yeah.
working as like an archaeologist for like a building company and trying
Yes.
to. He's investigating things where they think they found certain archaeological finds ahead of people building. You know, seeing if they can build on that land. His job is to say, "No, you're all right to build here, even if you find something." This is such a great little show that even like Toby Jones making cheese on toast
Is
makes it
fascinating, and you're drawn in on it. It's got that warmth that not many shows have,
Yeah.
and I gravitate towards it. I had one. I think we got 3 episodes on our little preview thing, and I
of
could have
6.
watched all 3, and I just thought, no, I want to savor it because
Yeah.
it is
You
something
don't
a
want
bit
this all
special.
being dropped on the iPlayer all at once, do you?
No, and I don't think I would. I don't think I would watch it all in
No.
one go, as much as I love it, because it's something to savor. Because it's about the little moments and the little lines, and there's a really haunting final scene as well, which I didn't quite understand the significance of.
No.
Which I'm sure we'll get
Well,
as it goes on.
the other story here, I suppose, which is in the first scene before we get to Andy and Lance, is that they are building a solar farm on the land which they've got permission to detect on. I don't know if that's the right phrase.
Yeah.
So they're losing their sanctuary, really. They're saying, like, you know, because Andy hates being sort of clumped into a small space at his mother-in-law's. Toby Jones is finding it hard because he's got his teenage daughter, would you say, early 20s?
Oh no, she's in her 20s. Yeah.
In her 20s.
If you
living
can't work that out, you're gonna get into some trouble. So yeah, she's definitely
Not.
into her. In
If I think she if I think she looks like a teenager and she's in her 20s, then that's all right.
true. Yeah, that's. I've got
If
that backwards.
she was a teenager and I thought she looked like she was in her 20s, that would be the problem.
see. Yes, I see your honour. I see your honour.
He's very OCD, as we see. He doesn't even like the fact that she's sort of taken a sort of side off his cheese because it's harder for him to cut.
Somebody like Gary would say there weren't many jokes.
But the one sort of laugh out loud scene, which they actually did preview when I went to Edinburgh and the BBC Four thing, there was the bit with Hugh and Russell where they'd found this prisoner tag and taken it to the widow of the prisoner who was in prison for 18 months. And there's just this picture of the two of them with this crying woman who hadn't realised that her husband had actually been in prison. And that was the sort of big laugh out loud moment,
I
wasn't it?
also like the Keys moment because their lives are so empty in the village of Danebury that Lance's daughter drops her keys and it becomes this whole story.
Yeah. She's great.
I heard she dropped her keys in the week.
Who
Did she
told
find
you?
them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she didn't lose them.
She just dropped them. Yeah. So it's not about the big laughs. It's about the little laughs. I suppose you'd call it observational comedy.
Yeah.
It really is. But I love the quiet moments of it, and I love the conversations that they have.
Like, what's your ideal dinner party five people you'd have at your dinner party, living or dead, and he said Kurt Cobain, and he says, yes, he was known for his witty dinner party conversation.
Yeah, so it is really
No,
good.
no, it's the heroin at this dinner party.
If you do want to watch the first two before this one, before you start this one, they are on Netflix. Not to be one of these watch it on Netflix people, but the first two.
And one final thing as well, I remember at Edinburgh, going back to that Mackenzie Crook was sort of proud that this was on BBC Four. That it is sort of like an obscure subject to base a sitcom around, and BBC Four is all about those sort of, obscure topics, isn't it? So I think it fits on BBC Four, that sort of observational, sort of slow humour that sort of Getting On had and things like that. So
I think it's brilliant.
So Detectorists, Wednesdays at 10 p.m. on BBC Four.